Hello, Reverend CrystalCox here. I'm going to talk about the Mandela effect today, and then in the comments there'll be, or in the description, I don't allow comments. I had a huge free speech case, and I have worldwide fans, but I also have worldwide haters. Why did you go on that topic? Oh, in the description, we link to a recent video I've done on the Mandela effect. I've done videos for years, I used to write about corruption and stuff, but in 2016, when I heard about the Mandela effect, I stopped. There was so much coming at me. Like I'd think of a book and it already existed, okay? I was researching the Mandela effect. There wasn't much out there at the time, and so each thing that I found talked about different timelines. The Dolores Cannon stuff in timelines, okay, talked about... well, I saved all of that original stuff, and it was very interesting. But then it exploded, and so many people started talking about it as trivia, right? So, like, if a song's changed, oh, well, that might be mismemory, or someone's last name, like Joel Osteen, or it was Olstein with an L, and, Berenstain Bears, all of that. And so a lot of the stuff became about that. And then a lot of the people talking about it, instead of specific topics, they started doing, like, hours-long diatribes about it. And so I didn't keep up with like every anatomy change, every new species. But so with the Mandela effect, it's called that because of Nelson Mandela, but I call it a quantum shift. It is a shift in reality. The We Are Here maps in the universe, we used to be on the far left of those maps on the Sagittarius arm. I have a photographic memory, it was always that way. And now we're on the far right on the Orion arm. So we've moved thousands of light years. The sun was yellow where I came from. Now it's white. We moved realities, and I don't know exactly when. For me, I think now it was 2012 everybody shifted to kind of this construct so that people could finish out their karmic debt, their lessons. So we've kind of moved into even more of a simulation than we were. I know it's hard to explain, but I didn't really get it, right? I always thought you think positive and your reality shifts positive. Okay, keep your thought. I didn't know it was literal. And so in 2016, when I'd read a bunch of stories about people that they're walking down this road every day for, generations, and all of a sudden, or at least their lifetime, like 10 years, whatever, and then all of a sudden there's a farmhouse that wasn't there, and it's been there for 100 years. Brand names is a big deal. People are like, oh, it's just a brand name. A lot of things changed, and I thought, well, they were just they're just updating the logo, right? They're just updating the name, or I misremembered. So it's kind of like the frog, that dies in the boiling pot. It went a little bit at a time. But when my friend asked me if I'd heard of the Mandela effect, and I was researching it, I was like, done. Nothing else mattered. It's over. Life as I knew it was over. There is nothing more important than the Mandela effect, and I don't care who it is or what it is. Again, never talking about minor children, but even them. There's not one thing more important than understanding the Mandela effect. I don't call it that. I don't recommend you call it that. But once you understand that it's not just, I talk positive and positive things come to me, but it's a literal physical shift in reality. Once you understand that, nothing else matters. I stopped writing about corruption. I stopped. I talk sometimes about the movie Tomorrowland. So instead of reporting on the corruption, I realized that I was creating it. So I was part of the mass consciousness creating it by talking about it. And I do talk about some now, but I shifted the reality that I was projecting. I stopped. I realized, oh my gosh, just blew my mind, right? Like, for example, the Bible scripture, the Lion and the Lamb, known it by heart, known it my whole life, never existed. In this reality, it's the wolf and the lamb. There's hundreds of Bible changes that supernaturally changed. People like, oh, yes, a new version. No, it's like been in a safe, it's been in a basement, it's been in their family for generations, it's supernaturally changed. And movies. You know, like mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Never existed. In this reality, it's magic mirror. My church concept was always about, if you build it, they will come. That never existed in Field of Dreams here. Here, it's if you build it, he will come. Now, there's a ton of movie lines. There's a ton of brand names, music lyrics, but the sky, okay? So the sky changed. We moved to another place in the universe. The sun color changed. My heart used to be on the left. Now it's in the center. Very profound for me. I probably talked about it in the other videos. I'm not going to talk about that right now. The kidneys were here, right? You don't want them to get cold air. You want to protect them if you're wrestling and stuff. But now they're here. The hand, you know, this space was a lot tighter. The eyes, at one point, the colored part had a black circle. And we've shifted back and forth, which sometimes reminded me of the thinker, right? The thinker's the Mandela effect, you know. Some people remember it like this, some people remember it like this. And it would shift and shift back. People died, like Billy Graham. How many times has he died, right? People died, they come back. People have had children, adult children that have died and come back. Now these are stories from other people, but my own stuff's so profound. And then when I would interview like family members who've been religious for decades, they're like, yep, it's always been the wolf and the lamb. Unicorn's always been in the Bible. Yeah, the Bible said piss and a lot of the other things that are in the Bible now. They're like, yep, they were always there. So that's a different version of that person. I moved to the reality where this person was so religious, would have thought unicorns and all that in the Bible was just ridiculous. You know, lion and the lamb. Nope, it was always wolf and the lamb. So I moved to a reality where I remember the old reality. And they're different. And you start talking about that and the white coats come to get you, right? And that's kind of what people are experiencing in mass on the Mandela effect. So it was like, right? Outside of me doesn't matter. Once I figure out my beliefs, I always do that because I tap it and go, what must I believe to feel this way? I know my belief. I take unconscious beliefs and bring them conscious, and I'm creating reality. So we're creating reality every second, every millisecond, every Planck second, like in the Bashar stuff, of every day. And we do that based on our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, knowing. So first we have an emotion. Your emotions are the magic that moves you to a certain reality. Kind of like the magic fairy dust or the wand. Fairy dust. You have a belief, you have a set of whatever, but when you move into a knowing, the kind of knowing where you sit on a chair and you know that chair is going to catch you. So your beliefs moved into absolute knowing. And reality manifests, kind of like Inception or in Doctor Strange, all the buildings just kind of appearing, right? And in Fantastic Beasts and, you know, stuff like that, where the buildings are torn down and then they bring them back. You know, time-lapsing. You do that. So it was really obvious that I'm projecting a version of this person, a version of this person. I'm projecting this reality based on my own beliefs. Now we do this much like a game board, right? So we hit a critical mass. So say if 51% of society really believes something, that believes into absolute knowing, we change reality on a critical mass for everybody. But on our personal level, we can shift realities. So what started happening is, like the Dolores Cannon stuff, every decision we didn't make in every lifetime created another version of us to go out and explore that decision. And then these timelines started collapsing so that we can get down to one timeline. And so some people just started seeing it. It didn't necessarily need to be people that were spiritual or people that meditated all the time, or people were just seeing it. They're like, what? I'm in a world now where the sun is white? What? My heart is where? And this is just some of them. So I realized that I had to go deeper into me. Every program, every trigger, every thought, every breath, every movement, I had to perfect my thinking for me. Oh, always knew that, but I thought it's like, get positive, bring positive. No, it's a literal quantum creation of physical reality, like the double split theory, right, where the observer changes the experiment. Or Emoto, the water studies, the power of prayer changes the chemical makeup of the water. Your thoughts literally project reality. So it was like, urge, okay, go in. So then I spent the next 5 years I lived in a hotel for another year after that, I think. Then I spent the next 5 years living in a vehicle and traveling. And I was living in a vehicle, and then sometimes I would go to Ireland for 2-3 months at a time. And every breath, I would focus on the feeling in my body. I would pay attention to every thought and identify every belief, and I would get spiritual counseling and assistance for these healings every day for 5 years. Because I realized that it's all me. So the people, I can't change anybody. I can't create anything different out there. I perfect the projectionist. I'm projecting reality. So I perfect me and my thoughts and what I want, removing all my triggers, walking in my truth, following my highest excitement, my joy, because I'm literally manifesting tangible things, buildings. I'm manifesting a reality where my organs are here or my organs are there. I'm manifesting realities with different skies, different types of rainbows. I was blown away by, like, during that time in 2016, where I was at, on San Juan Island, they're like, oh, there's a species of whale here that hasn't been here in 100 years. There was a pear tree that hadn't bloomed around there in 20 years. No, we shifted realities. Okay, so we moved to a reality, just like with the COVID stuff, you know, people all went indoors. All of a sudden, orcas and these different animals started showing up everywhere. Yes, because the people aren't there, but it was different. It was also a shift in reality to a different version of Earth, a higher consciousness version of Earth. So there's nothing more important in your life than understanding the concept of what makes people that see the Mandela effect see the Mandela effect. Because you understanding quantum reality and that you create reality with every thought, every word, every action, then you take responsibility of that. You realize that you're actually creating a version of the different people in your life based on the reality that you're projecting from your own belief systems. We're quantum, right? I didn't know it was literal. 'Cause I've studied metaphysics stuff my whole life. I've channeled stuff. I've talked to spirit, but I didn't know that if I really did move it into an absolute knowing and got to the root core wound and really cleared all that out, I could project a completely different reality for myself and others. Or if I honestly 100% believed there was a certain book or a certain type of something that existed, that it would then I would move to a reality where it existed. Not just oh yeah, I believe that, but a knowing. As my example of sitting on a chair and knowing that it's going to, you know without a doubt, and then you shift to that reality. And so understanding how you create reality every second of every day, there's nothing more important than that. Because you came here to experience these things. You came here to perfect yourself. We're like in the mirrored image of Earth, you know, like in Doctor Strange, where they were in the mirrored reality to practice their magic. We are projecting reality. But I don't know if you've seen that movie Sphere, but which is a scary kind of a version of this, of humans can't be trusted to telepathy or instant manifestation of our mind, our thoughts, our emotions. So we're perfecting that in a mirrored reality. Even starseeds and light workers, like we are, manifesting in to understand how to create reality as a human. And we create reality with our emotions, right? So our emotions is the gas that makes the engine go. So we can visualize something, we can try to believe it, we can go in this, but our absolute knowings that maybe came from our parents or whatever, that's what's creating our reality. And in order to shift those, we first must identify what the belief is. When we feel pain in our pain body, we just go say, oh, and you just stare at it. David Hawking's book, Letting Go, excellent on that. And you just look at the spot in your body where that pain is, and don't put a story to it, like listen to a fan or something else, and just let it dissolve. Relax your shoulders and just let yourself because you're attracting these things to your life. So your frequency attracts different versions of people to your life, different realities, different buildings, different vehicles, different options. Your frequency literally attracts that. So you're the receiver and you're the projector. So if you're tuning into country music 104 or whatever, you can't hear the rock station on whatever other. whatever frequency you're tuned into, that's what you see. And I didn't know that. And I didn't know that someone can sit right next to me and see a completely different reality and hear a completely different thing. I mean, I thought it was so, like, in theory and in metaphysics and in occult, esoteric studies, all that. But to be literal in quantum, I didn't know. You see a lot of those illusions, right, online that, or one color, you know what I mean, the different things that trick the mind, and so you see that they can project and create all of reality. So it is said that, like, this room doesn't exist until I walk into it, right? So if we're only tuning in, so someone sitting next to us, they're on a certain frequency, they're going to see a different version of reality. They're going to hear different things. And you're going to be, I used to be so butthurt in my relationships, be like, well, you didn't see what I said, or you didn't know what I experienced, or like I was in a car accident with my ex, and it was like, we had a totally different version of it. And it used to really upset me, because that she didn't get it, that she didn't get what we experienced and what I know we both experienced. And it happens with so many different things. And once I got this concept, this quantum concept, I realized that she did probably 100% experience that reality. Like, that you can literally have a totally separate physical experience, see something completely different if you're in a different frequency, just like the radio. You're tuned into that. I didn't know it was so literal. I didn't know it was so physical. And in 2016, when that happened, I did an about face on what I was doing for my church, my goals, my life, everything. Nothing matters. Not one fucking thing. Excuse my language. All that matters is that I perfect every thought, every program, every trigger. All that matters is that I be my true, authentic self in every moment. I follow my highest joy. I follow my highest excitement, and strive to create the reality that I really want to live in. And in so doing this, also be part of the critical mass that's creating this reality for others. And so, again, if you go to research the Mandela effect, you're going to find a lot of crap out there. Right now, it's just so, and people think it's just trivia, like, oh, I'm Mandela affected because they forgot something or they remembered something different. No. It's the quantum split theory. It's parallel realities. It's Dolores Cannon and Bashar, and there's so much other information out there that we live in multiple realities, and that all time is at once, and time doesn't really exist, right? It only exists in this construct to give us linear time. And so understanding how you create reality, it becomes absolutely imperative and important that you be your authentic self, because you're literally projecting that reality and that version of these people. So if you're true to yourself, 100% all the time, even when it hurts because you got to move through the programs and stuff, you draw more reality to you that's true to your authentic self. And we refine that, and we refine that over lifetime. And it's always been. It's just that now we can see it clearer. There was a shift in 2012, and then when it was told to me in 2016, and I researched it, and I was like, oh, wow. I was blown away. I was angry for a couple days because I was like, oh, man, right? Like, what? And I still have, like, I have scars. I had different body pains and things. I'm like, well, if I shifted to a different body, which I clearly did, I seen tons of different things. Back shapes, bone structure, skeleton structure, so many things different. I'm like, why did I bring my physical ailments with me? Okay, well, physical ailments are emotional, right? So if we get rid of that emotional overlay, that emotional program, they go away. Okay, the scars and stuff, I think maybe it would just weird me out too much, or like, why do I have them? But then there's also this, like, idea that this body is like an AI or whatever. We're a program, we've just kind of moved to protect human consciousness, because we were supposed to shift in 2012, but human consciousness wasn't ready. So we're in this realm to wake them all up so that we can go to 5D with their consciousness intact, because they weren't ready for the stuff that we've known for like our whole life. These humans, you know, sorry, my version of humans. No, I don't consider myself human. I'm having a human experience, though, so. Anyway, just a little bit on the Mandela effect. I'm going to put another recent video in the description here. When you go to research people, just, you know, discern for yourself what you believe. There's so much trivia out there, and there's so much kind of junk about it. But if you have anybody in your life that's talking about the Mandela effect and think it's just, oh, this is just trivia, which I had a supernatural show producer of a I guess, a long-running, like a major supernatural show interview me about being on the show about the Mandela effect, and I'll do another video about that. I said no because of the direction he wanted to head was absolutely ridiculous. And there's some Jesus connection there, and there's also some how I want to create reality and how I don't want to dumb down to do it. So I said no to that show. But people in your life that are like thinking it's a trivia game, right? It's not a trivia game. What they're like, well, so what? Okay, yeah, so I know I moved to a different reality. Okay, well, it's very profound. Now, own it. Own every thought, every action, every trigger, every trauma, because you're projecting reality. I can't project a building. Yeah, you can. I can't project my heart moved, but it did. I moved to a reality where my whole experience around knowing the heart, I'm not going to go into that more in this video, but would not have been that way in the other reality. With the way the EKG and stuff went, I was allegedly had a heart attack. And so there's nothing more important than understanding how you're creating your physical reality and creating versions of people in that reality, creating versions of building, creating versions of everything to a critical mass. Like, we can't fly yet because we're still part of humanity and there's a critical mass on a lot of things, but we still have latitude of what we see and the version of people that are in our life based on our own belief and knowing. Anyway, so there's some Mandela effect rambles by, Reverend CrystalCox.